What's up, y'all? It's Friday. Yes, got my cocktail. It's never too early for a cocktail, right? Especially on a Friday. So, just getting ready for our Friday recap. As I'm gonna go through some of the stories in the week that caught my attention, or things that me and my brother were talking about during the week, or whatnot, or just whatever I want to talk about right now. And I'm following. Just subscribe to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Parker's Couch. My name is Cameron Parker. I'm one half of the duo with my brother Carlin Parker. And, we live here in Washington, D.C., and we just like talking sports and entertainment, hot topics, politics, everything. So it's just whatever's on our mind at the time. And of course, sharing parts of our lives as well. So welcome to the couch. Grab you your own cocktail. A little vodka in this one today. The home mixes. You don't know exactly what's in it. You don't need to know what's in it. You just kind of put a hodgepodge together and create your own beautiful drink. Just so you don't have to buy as much tonight at the bar, right? But let's get to it, because today we got a few topics that I want to discuss. I'm going to be talking about Jerrod Carmichael, Amanda Seales, some Neo, some Kanye. Gonna also get into some interesting stuff about bathing. Should you bathe every day? Then talk a little bit about American Idol and end on New Music Friday with some things that I have for y'all. Promise we won't be here too long. I just have some quick thoughts that I want to get out, so let's get to it. And let's get going with Jerrod Carmichael. Now, I know if you listened to my video last week, it's such a hard decision. Now, I don't know if I want to say hard decision. It is definitely a decision that I'm making to continue to watch the Jerrod Carmichael show, because, for all purposes, I know a lot of people aren't watching anymore, and with valid reason, because he's been showing himself to just be a complete asshole, and also to be talking about the things of race play and all this stuff, and the way that he's tried to apologize for all, well, not apologize, the way he's tried to explain everything and how we basically got stuff wrong and the way stuff was shown and things like this. He's just not owning up to some of his own remarks and his own behavior, which is troubling. But as far as a production show, let me cut my phone off. Y'all hear my phone going off right there. I don't know if you hear it, but forgot to cut that off before I started. But I don't know if you heard um, some of the things that he's been saying and stuff outside for his reasons why or whatnot, why things are or have been the way that they are. But we're not buying it. We're not buying any of that. And I'm hoping for redemption art. And one thing I did appreciate, though, about the show is the way that the show is shot and how it's done. So I like the kind of storytelling element of the show and the way they kind of are going about it in between his comedy and, well, if you call it comedy, and and then the real life footage about what's happening. So this past episode was him and his father. He's taking a road trip with his father to Dillon, South Carolina. And you can tell he and his father have a rocky relationship. It's not one that, I don't think there's any love lost in a sense. I think his father is loving him in the way that he knows how to love. I say that men born before 1960, they're just a different breed. And that the way, especially being from North Carolina, and he's from Dillon, South Carolina, his father, but Jerrod Carmichael, if I remember correctly, they grew up in North Carolina. But being from the South, and in that way, I understand this type of man. My father is that type of man. My uncles, I grew up around these type of men who are like a Jerrod Carmichael's father to an extent. They don't know how to show emotion. They don't know how to have conversations heart to heart. Things are surrounded out around work. Work is everything. They go out, they do what they need to do with the women and have that, they have the families, but they have the families outside of the family. And The number of mistresses are probably too numerous to count. But that's just kind of the way that men typically, on average, of course, nothing is absolute, moved in that generation, and they don't know how to have these conversations. So I thought it was like a bold attempt, or is shedding light on, some of the difficulties in there of having a conversation with your father in particular from that generation, and also throwing the element of being gay. That throws in an extra element, and him coming out late. You can tell that there are things not discussed, thoughts that are being going on, circulating through the father's head, that he doesn't know how to articulate, and he doesn't want to say on camera. Numerous times he was like, do we have to do this with the cameras on? Whenever Jerrod was trying to dive into certain topics. Now, what I didn't like from it was the beginning, whenever he was talking to his father and saying like, oh, you want to see my boyfriend? And his father's kind of like, sure, whatever, kind of thing, as he's driving. He proceeds to go through his phone to look at pictures for to show his father. And he proceeds to show a picture to his father of his boyfriend just getting out of the shower. Well, he's like, oh, he's just getting out of the shower in this pic, in his underwear, and that's it. Why would you show that picture? Anybody, any reasonable person, I don't care what sexuality, I don't care where you are, or what gender, anything. If your significant other, your person, you're going to introduce them to your parents or parent or someone important in your life by showing them a half naked picture of them in the bathroom. In what world does that make sense? I don't understand. Like, I just feel like that was not believable. Like, it's just doing something for shock value, as well as he's going through talking about the different kind of types of gays, where he's talking about bears and otters and twinks and twunks and all these things, and explaining that. Like, why? That's not important. That's not serious. I could see if y'all were at another level of your relationship, but y'all are at the beginning. And it seems to be a lot of hurt there in that relationship, whenever the father is talking about like how they gave him space, right? And was saying like, we felt like you just didn't want to be around us by the way that you cut us off, or you just stopped calling. And Jared's like, and you have no idea. This is a point where I could feel Jerrod. He was like, you have no idea like why I stopped. And then he goes on to explain how basically his mom told him he's going to hell whenever he said he's gay, and that they just hope this goes away type thing. They don't want him to bring anybody home. They don't want to know anything about it. And it goes through the whole spiel of being like completely homophobic and not supportive, but then on the other end of your mouth trying to say like, oh, we love you and support you. So I understand. I understand why he pulled away, why he need to go out and grow and doing his own thing. But this is not the way to work on a relationship. That's not how you introduce someone who's already very uncomfortable with it, and then that's how you do it. And then on camera, like, that didn't make sense to me. Of course, we get Jerrod as they're traveling through their travels and stopping at places. Um, get him scrolling through Grinder and stuff again. And then some of the message they showed the one message where it was like, how it would it do ask him, does he have a fat dick? And he's like, oh, I think his response was something like, it's long and slender, or something like that, that they showed real quick. Like, oh, interesting. I'm sure that was some race play going on in that comment before we even saw that. I'm just wondering who was asking those questions and what else those conversations, what was happening. But that's neither here nor there. They continue their journey. They had the interesting part whenever they went, that they stopped by like in Williamsburg or somewhere, I believe it was around there. I can't remember where, but it was like colonial type homes and around the plantations. And the father really started kind of getting, he was getting antsy and talking about being a sharecropper and growing up and all these things. And it was just bringing back bad memories. That was like, wow, that was like a little powerful moment, like to be was surrounded, just what it could be like for black people to be around plantations and what we still have all these plantations in the South. And I like the movement of buying these things, of black people kind of buying these things back and getting groups and doing this stuff and taking ownership of that. So that was I was glad they kind of highlighted that and they went to like a Marriott instead. And it didn't the episode didn't end on a good note and then on a bad one. Like he and his father were he basically started going in on his father about like the way that he lived and how it's affecting him and all these things. And the father was like, oh, I knew this was going to be it. I knew you're going to be like this. And like Jerrod like was going in like like he just it's kind of like he snapped. And he was like, yeah, this is in front of the cameras. I got the cameras because that's the only way I could talk to you. He was like, I feel like the cameras are gives me that extra push in a sense, that motivation to have these conversations. We can't run away and hide from it. That was an interesting explanation. Like I could kind of rock with that for why doing this show in the first place. I'm still waiting for a redemption arc. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm holding out, and it's probably against reason to be doing that because I don't think he's gonna really redeem himself from the things that he has kind of shared and done already. But it was no like good ending, I guess I would say, to this episode. But it marked reality and what a relationship, those hard conversations could be like, the uncomfortableness. There was a lot of silence. I could see where he gets a lot of his mannerisms from his father, even the way like he does his pauses and he's thinking. His father seems to be someone who thinks a lot, who takes a lot of time before they speak. And is a man of few words. But yeah, I'm holding on, still holding on a little bit. I do want to make it to his mom. I'm really curious about that. And when we finally get there to those conversations and what's going to happen there. So I'm gonna keep holding on. All right, let's go to Amanda Seals. Now, Amanda Seals had the world on fire for a couple of days from this Club Shay Shay interview. And let me tell you, within my friend group and stuff on Insta, it sparked some interesting conversations. And let me just say, people are really either hot or cold with Amanda. And I want to handle this with delicacy because I think for me, like the way I think about black women, I think live a life of being on the defense. And that's not, you know, any fault of their own and stuff that they're living on the defense. But that's because they are when it comes to America, like they have to fight inside the race and outside. Like they are always having to be in a defensive mechanism standpoint, and I have sympathy for that. I empathize with that because I feel like they're often misunderstood, often misinterpreted, often just assumptions, excuse me, are made in negative ways. And so I get coming from that position of defense a lot. But I feel like Amanda kind of stays on the defensive. And I know experiences in life, which she shares in this interview, you could kind of see what created that. It's not just out of nowhere, and it's not necessarily without reason, and some valid reasons sometimes for it. But sometimes it can get in your way. Um, y'all came for Shannon really hard on this interview. A lot of people, and I get one part. It was like only really one part really stuck out to me that annoyed me. Overall, I think y'all, after watching this thing is 3 hours now. Let me tell you, it is 3 hours. It did not need to be 3 hours. This interview did not need to be that long. Um, but I think part of it is unfair, in my opinion, to Shannon in this interview. And we'll go through and I'll let you know why. So let me just tell you, I hate. His intro was fantastic. I felt like going through her, but I hate the way this interview kind of started right off the bat. Well, first she shared some news about being autistic, which becomes a bit thing because we found out yesterday when she doubled back and said, "Oh, she was never clinically diagnosed," even though Shannon clearly asked her a question about when did she receive her diagnosis, and she was like, "Of just recently, like a few years ago," and goes through all these things of autism and talking about patterns and behaviors and how autistic black, how it's really undetected in black women, especially. And she had all this reach out. It's knowing what I know at the day later that is not a clinical diagnosis. And she goes through why, and she has reasons for that, and like how we don't need to have that necessarily to know. I don't know. I just look at that a whole. I think that's very dangerous. I just find personally what she did, like going through that, very dangerous. To go into this autism way, and then it works in a way where it almost comes off as an excuse for certain things because you're wired a certain way and how you respond and how you do things. And I don't know if she was setting it up to be an excuse, but that's kind of like what comes in my mind with it when I'm going through these situations. So it's like, oh, is she saying just because she's autistic, this is why this is happening? So you can't like push back. I don't know, but I didn't like that. But the part I really didn't now, I didn't like that after learning what I learned yesterday. But the part I didn't like initially was how the conversation started off with her situation in school, and she was talking about Shannon was pretty much saying, "I'm sure you were somebody who was in trouble or kind of thing, because you're you like you say, you're an upfront person." And she was talking about how she got in trouble with a teacher and got like expelled, or it was like or suspended, or something was going on. They had to come in and have a meeting, right? Teachers meeting. And she talks about how she corrected the teacher whenever the teacher was saying, like, I believe it's about Aborigines and how there aren't any living or something like that. The teacher said something dumb, something totally wrong. And Amanda as a kid was correcting her in class about it. And the teacher didn't like that. And so she got in trouble and parents had to come in. So Shannon was expressing, and whenever they were talking, and she goes through the story, and she was like, three other black people there eventually, when they realized, oh, she didn't really do anything bad, and then they realized what it was about, they were like, oh, and it's because you're a black girl, and this is a racism issue in Orlando, Florida. Totally believable. But Shannon kind of pushed back a little bit and was like, well, he was like, I'm not necessarily sure if that would in not his exact words, I'm not sure if that was necessarily race, but I know that people, especially growing up in the country, and older people don't like kids talking back to them or don't like kids correcting them in any situation. And he starts talking about, even in his own family in these situations. And I totally get that. I relate to that. I think many people relate to that in the South. Like as a kid, you're not supposed to be in grown folks' business. You're supposed to just authority. You're supposed to just listen, be there, pay attention. You're not supposed to be inquisitive, which should be encouraged in kids. Like you should be able to be inquisitive and push back and have these conversations with a teacher. With a teacher, you should have the openness and willingness to do that. But then it's a matter of how it's done as a kid too. Like, yeah, that could be really annoying if you come off as a know-it-all as a kid and you're a teacher. So I got what Shannon was talking about on multiple levels. And at this point, you got to understand in the conversation, like it wasn't clear that race was the issue. And so that's why he was pushing back on that. And that became a point of contention. And then she outlined some more facts about how there was an incidence of stealing. She got blamed for it. But then whenever they found out another white kid did it, the teacher was still like, "Oh, you both should be punished." Now, okay, yes, now we have a track record of racism, of race. Now it's very clear. So I kind of feel like they're in the storytelling. If that situation was kind of told first, or if there was more situations presented, it would have been clearer for Shannon as the interviewer, in my opinion, to go there and stuff with. And I don't know if it was, yeah, but I don't. Amanda got really, pissed off about that. And they continue going on, and now where Shannon became wrong to me was whenever she started talking about her experiences at Disney and how kids would call her the N word and all these things was happening. And she, of course, being antagonistic, she was like, "Oh," and she was like, "Oh, I'm sure you'll have a problem with that being a race issue too," sort of thing. And he actually did have a problem, and he had this explanation of kids would be kids, and you know, sometimes kid you can't expect them to act like adults. They don't know any better. Blah blah blah. No, Shannon, it's still racist. Like, yeah, you were right when you said two things could be true at once. Yes, two things can be true. The kids can still be ignorant, learning things from their parents, not understanding, but still be racist, still be steeped in racism for doing those things. Like, yeah. So there was no, his pushback to that story was a bit annoying to me. And you could tell things got off in the interview right from the beginning there, because she started feeling like her experiences were invalidated, and she made it clear she got him together. I thought very quickly and on an intellectual way, and just reasoning and walking through to see why, to let them know that this is her experience. She's not here to validate any other reasons or why people were doing stuff. She's speaking for her. She's the one that was hurt, the victim in the situation. She's speaking to how it made her feel. And that's all that should have been valid. So I don't understand why Shannon was pushing back on that story personally. And from there, it got a little. Then she made a statement that I didn't like, where she was talking about, well, she said, look, some people experience race, and then some people, you know, are experts, basically. So she said, I'm not only speaking as a person who experienced race, but I'm also speaking as a person who is an expert in the field. So I advise you basically to just listen, not be combative, and you might learn something because this is her expertise. And she's looking at a different lens, and there are reasonings why she's drawing conclusions that she is and saying things that the way she does. All right, now fair. Yeah, you got your master's degree, you studied this, you talk about you are an expert. You're definitely an expert in the field. I didn't really appreciate though, like the way it came off was just like this. It was very arrogant in a way, like, oh, I know this, you don't. Don't push back on anything that I'm saying, from here on out. Just sit back and learn something because you don't know nothing when it comes to this. And we can all speak from different lenses from race. Like there is an extra layer of having that expertise, having the learning, doing the reading, doing the studying. Like there are multiple aspects you could come from it. But there's also something to a lived experience that everybody has, and that makes you able to speak up on the subject. So you could tell Shannon got in his feelings too, like why, definitely why he's wondering why is his pushback or anything being seen as combative. Like he's not trying to be combative, he's just offering different viewpoints. Let's talk about it, let's reason. And they just kind of went back and forth there. And you could tell like he kind of shrunk back as an interviewer from then. And I understand it because you don't know what you're going to say from this point that's going to really turn the interview left. So you're kind of walking on eggshells a little bit, you know. Um, it's a weird thing, and he lets, and I feel like he didn't. I know there was some commentary about like how he does other interviews and stuff like that. To me, after watching the whole thing, I think he kind of did this interview in the same way. Like he has little comments where that could be seen as a pushback when he's trying to understand the situation about somebody's experiences, but he generally just lets the person talk and go. And I felt he did that with Amanda a lot in this whole interview. Um, there are critiques to be made about his interviewing style and skills, but I think he's consistent. That's me personally. I didn't really see it, and I know people kind of disagree with that, and that's fine. You can point out to me like what was different and help me see it in a different way, because I thought he was, he was being who he was, or who he is in this interview. She goes on, and I that also told me is like, okay, Amanda, this is why you get in trouble. I can understand. I feel like I can understand the type of person that she is. Being, and she talks about like whenever she went to New York, how that was like her home. She was like, look, oh, that up front is embraced here, being up front versus being in the South. Yeah, whenever that's not embraced in the South. That's totally accurate. So I can see how going up north, being in New York, that was like your tribe. That's a different ball game. And a lot of us growing up down south, we have to learn how to be upfront and vocal and voice and things of that nature a lot more, because a lot of that has, sadly being conditioned out of us, and that's historical. It goes through generations. And although we have multiple outspoken people and we have stood up for ourselves in the South, there are ways that has been like tamed, you know. And we don't have to get all into that because that's all a different story. However, I can see how she rubs people the wrong way sometimes, because not everybody is for that upfront style. And sometimes that can come off as very arrogant if you present yourself as a person who knows it all, who knows everything, who can't learn and be taught, or who can't accept anybody pushing back on anything that you say. Then yeah. And then I can see, like, if you come off like that, sometimes some of the things that you say, it's a thin line between confident and arrogant. And sometimes some people are going to read that as arrogance and they're not going to like you for it. And if you can't have the conversation with the people to work through certain issues or why things are happening, then there's going to be no growth. Because I know we get later on in the interview, and we learn that she's just kind of a person who cuts you off. You mess her up like that, no, she ain't giving you no hug. She ain't talking to you. Like, it's just kind of done. And I understand that. And there's a part of me that definitely understands that. But then there's also the part that, well, if you can't have the conversation with people, then it's not going to change. I don't know. It just gets it. It's just bam. It's things are going to stay the way that they are. The whole Issa situation was interesting. I think there's definitely more to that than what was expressed. That we all, you only hear there's one side. What is it? There's two sides to two sides to every story and the truth. So the truth is always usually somewhere in the middle. I know we are only getting her experience and stuff, her side from Issa. I'm sure Issa's gonna have a different story, or would have a different story if she cared to talk about it, which I don't know if she really truly does care to talk about it. I Just because you and Issa had run-ins doesn't mean like Issa is not supportive of black women too. I thought that was a little extreme. Getting to that part was like, yeah, she didn't see it in that, but she details how she feels like Issa didn't support her on her own projects, didn't support her in the whole Emmy getting thrown out of the Emmy party situation, didn't support her with her publicist, that thing. There are instances that she lists, and it could be true, because the thing is, like, one, people like shit in the entertainment business sometimes. Um, so it's not past the realm of believability. I guess I would say that. But I'm just not gonna just automatically take everything Amanda said as 100% fact of how these conversations with Issa. She just presented Issa as being very dismissive towards everything. And it could be true, could not. I'm just not gonna go 100% in and be like, oh, Amanda said it, so this is exactly how it went. Whenever people just interpret things different ways, a lot of times. Um, yeah, the whole East. The other thing that kind of bugged me with that because later on in the interview, she talks about Shannon asked her a question about what are the reasons why people hate you. And one of the things she listed, she was like, I just list the reasons of things I've heard or people have said to me. And she mentions, because she talks about colorism and how she's been called a colorist and stuff. And she mentions how she's been hated on because she's light skinned. People have literally told me they hate me because I'm light skinned. Hmm. Let me sip. I'm not so sure if that's exactly what people said. Maybe, but I know how that comes off though to a lot of people within the community. When they hear light skinned people say that, lighter skinned people say that, that never comes off good. It doesn't. So it makes me think in these situations where she's talking about insecure and stuff, is she's internalizing some of that or thinking like some of these reactions are because she's lighter skinned. I'm putting words in her mouth. Y'all take that with what you want. I would say clearly she did not say anything like that to that effect, but I was just kind of adding up things from the interview and stuff together of what could possibly be going through her mind. It just makes me wonder. I just hope it's not the case there. That's always a interesting kind of subject talking about. But at some point, I'm just like it just can't be everybody else all the time in every situation. That's the thing that gets a little unbelievable. But what I will say is Amanda is an incredibly impressive person. Her resume is pretty vast. Like the things that she has done, and there were clear things that she expressed that I felt like were wrong, like the whole radio situation and how that ended. There were a host of things. It was 3 hours. There were about 20 minutes where I fell asleep and I didn't care to rewind because it was long. So I don't know what might have been said in those like 20, 30 minutes of the interview. Overall, I it didn't really move the needle one way or the other for me for Amanda because I just honestly personally never had like any clear feelings towards her. I know she's always kind of like out there. She's a figure. She's some people that people love and respect. She's for the culture in some people's eyes, and like so they ride with her. And she talked about that a lot and about black spaces and what that means to her. So she's definitely someone who wants to be for the culture. I feel like, um, but I'm just not drawn to her personally. So I just never had any kind of clear feelings one way or the other. But they hugged it out throughout the interview. The interview reached a point where they were really aligned, and I felt like they were kind of connecting with each other and vibing. It took some time, but they got there. All right, love to hear y'all kind of thoughts on Miss Amanda. It's a 3 hour interview. I just did a little piece and a couple of the topics, but there were a lot. There's a lot more in there that you could talk for days about that interview. Neo, let's go to Mr. Neo. Now, if y'all was craziness on what was it a couple of days ago with his baby mama, the new girl, Sade there with their two kids, I think they have together. She went on live on the live and was airing out the dirty laundry there with them. And yeah, it got pretty ugly. She was a legend. Everything from she was alleging everything from like some abuse. We talk about like body slamming and all this stuff he was doing, and him not being there for the kids and all these things. Let me get to the yeah. Well, she since came out with an apology yesterday, if y'all saw that. So she added said the mother explained that she was reflecting and wanted to apologize for putting y'all in our business. Yeah, we don't need to be in there. She added emotions were heightened and the full moon was out, cycle on, and postpartum built with frustration, prompted the viral incident. Girl, we are not about to blame all of this that happened on you being on your period and there being a full moon. What emotions heightened? Yeah, we understand. Like you're giving credence to those who are like, we don't need to have a women president because whenever they on their cycle, they can start World War III just because they mad. No, don't come out with those kind of excuses for what happened. All right, so this was her actual post. So I just wanted to read that real quick. She said, so I'm drinking my boba tea, talking to my dad on the phone, self reflecting, and I like to apologize for putting y'all in our business. Emotions were heightened, and I want the best him to show up. But I understand you can't make people feel you. I have good faith everything will come together. Full moon was out, cycle on, postpartum built with frustration and a lot of underlying issues that we needed to be addressed. Trying to do that with the problem present made heightened emotions. I'm human. I hurt too, and I want the best for everyone. That's all I was fussing for. Nothing more. Love, some understanding. Well, you don't pulled us into it now. You have pulled us into it now, and we are here. So I don't know what else you want for us at this point. You don't need to be apologizing to us. If you felt like an apology is needed, then apologize just to Neo, like for putting that out there. If you felt like that's something, if you feel that's something that's needed, because I don't understand why we're being apologized to. We didn't ask to be in it. We didn't ask for an apology. We didn't ask for a hello or a goodbye. So just work that out between you and him, and just leave us out of it. 'Cause that was just craziness. I don't think anybody really sees it for Neo like that anyway. If we're being honest, we love his music, his songwriting. I mean, he's a songwriting beast. He has good songs. He has a nice old tiny desk stuff he did too. Um, yeah, he's a funny shaped head Ninja Turtle man. We don't have any feelings whatsoever. I know Funky on his live was expressing like he never really believed he was straight. I'm gonna leave that alone. But he is a overcompensating man. I would say that just does too much. We don't care. Leave us out of the group chat. Don't include us in anymore. Moving on, Mr. Y'all favorite, Mr. Kanye West. Now, he done told us a month ago, right, that he is a God, he has problems with Jesus and all these things. He also went out this week kind of reaffirming like he's a God, calling himself a God once again. Excuse me. And that was a weird interview with that one DJ. I don't remember who it was. I think it was the DJ. That was, and it looked like he was just sitting there laughing and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, people laugh when I say that," but this man he really believes he's God. He does. Like y'all need to start taking him at face value for what he says. Like that's literally what he believes. He believes like he is some highly spiritual person above us common folks, and we should be, I guess, worshiping at the altar of Kanye. But some of y'all do. Afterwards, Kanye appears to have confirmed reports that he is setting up a pornography studio. TMZ first reported on Tuesday, April 23rd, the controversial rapper was in talks to launch an adult entertainment division of his Yeezy brand with Stormy Daniels' ex-husband, Mike Maz. Now, we all remember Stormy Daniels with the whole Trump sexual harassment payoff, or, um, paying her off and stuff and everything too. The sexual assault and all that. On Wednesday, West, who legally changed his name to Yee, I just refuse to call him that, in 2021, shared a video on Twitter X with the date and caption, Yeezy porn is coming. And then, coming was with the coming. That's how he did it. A female narrator on the video reads, go to Yeezy.com. West then shared a link to the website, which at the time of writing does not appear to host any pornographic content. A representative for West had told TMZ that the artist was dead set on the project, which could launch this summer. Representatives for West and Maz did not return the Independent's request for comment. So what y'all say now once this when this pornography, adult entertainment side of Yeezy, which he expressed, I think you remember, I think it was around 2022 when he talked about how porn ruined his family, ruined him and his family, like how addicted to porn he was, and it destroyed his family life. And now he's doing a whole adult entertainment studio, but yet he's God. He's super spiritual. He's doing all these things. Like, it's not making sense. But I'm waiting to see how y'all are gonna do backflips for this man and explain this and excuse this. Because that's what happens. It's like, oh, when he says he's God, he's not talking about God himself. He's talking about that higher spiritual plane that he's calling all of us to be on. This guy is he I don't understand. I don't understand. I just don't. If he would have just stuck to damn music and just continue, just doing what he was doing, what could have been? What could have been? But now, anytime I hear his voice, I just get irritated. And I used to love some Kanye back in the day, especially, who wasn't rocking College Dropout and all that. Pornography. Lord, please don't be in any scenes yourself. Who wants to see that? Please, 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 please. All right, moving on from Kanye. How often do y'all take a shower? That's my question I have for you. Well, if you listen to latest reports, the New York Post and other people have a report that is saying that daily showers are nothing more than performative and have no real health benefits. Health experts, you know, that's what they claim. That's what they insist. Why are we washing? Mostly because we are afraid somebody else will tell us that we're smelling. So we're only washing, y'all, because we are afraid that people are going to call us stinky. It's not that we don't want to be stinky ourselves. It's not that we don't want clean bodies, that we don't want to smell fresh, that we don't want to walk around, presenting odor to other people and making other people's lives difficult for no reason. But now it's only because we are afraid of people and people calling us stinky. And furthermore, they are saying that while abstaining from daily showers might seem like antisocial behavior, medical experts are now saying that the modern obsession with cleanliness can actually be hazardous to your health. They say prolonged showers could strip away the skin's um, microbiome, I guess, or biome. I don't know how you say it, biome, which plays a role in protecting the skin and is also extremely important in the overall health of the body. They're saying even after the article goes on, it talks about like even after heavy workouts, they recommend that you don't even shower, like you just clean up the necessary parts, the parts that gather the most sweat, after intense workouts. And they talk about how we wash more than we did in the past, over the past 100 years. Yeah, of course we do. And they say that how it's accidental, how this was accidental. It was not planned, but showers just became a part of homes. And so, like, people just started washing more. No duh, Sherlock. I think people were tired of only being able to wash like once a week or twice a week or however many times. People were tired of smelling themselves, smelling their armpits, smelling their ass. Like, who wants to be walking around here with a smelly ass, a smelly coochie, dirty balls? Nobody want to be walking around smelling like that. So if you go back 100 years, we didn't shower every day because shower was not a normal thing to have. Duh. And they say that I guess Brits are more known to shower twice a day versus Americans. They say like over, I want to get to the percentage. I think they said it was 66% of people in America or something shower daily. And in my mind, I was like, that's it. And I'm like, those who are able to. Of course, we have our homeless population and different things of that nature. Yeah, right here in 2021, researchers at Harvard Health found that 66% of Americans shower every day, while a 2005 report claims that it's more common for Brits to shower once or twice per day. 66%. You know what? That's why I be smelling so funky out here in these streets. Y'all are not out here washing your asses and think it's cool. Y'all are with this. Don't think you need to shower every day. No, if you don't smell you, we smell you. Trust me. The funk is permeating, it's getting out there. So please wash your ass. Please wash your balls. Please clean those essentials. Get those pits. You gotta get back in the ears. They get all dirty. The net, all these smelly little places. We in trouble, y'all. We are in trouble. Y'all are out here not washing and making reports that it's okay. Having us, the ones who wash every day, having us thinking we're crazy because we like to smell good. I can't. Moving on. Last two things I got for y'all. American Idol. I'm probably, me and my brother, we're probably part of a select few of people who actually still watch American Idol. We love competition shows, especially competition singing shows. So we all watch The Voice and watch American Idol. Don't worry. After this top 10, I will not be watching anymore. And we both had a discussion and said it's probably time that we go ahead and drop this. Because once again, and I'm not saying there needs to be a black winner all the time for American Idol. But once again, it's highlighting that there's a clear issue with black talent not being understood. How you have a top 10 on American Idol and now no black person is even involved? And there were, out of the group that was there were some talented black singers. You had even the platinum ticket winner, who was one of the first people out, Odell, and then Quintavious went out around the same time with him. We had our last three with Naya, Jaina, who's in DC, go DC, and Roman. They were left, and after this week, they were gone. And in this top 10, half of them can't sing. Half of them sound terrible. Like, it is really bad. Like, I don't understand what people are hearing, but yet Taylor Swift is super popular. So maybe we just have different tastes because it's not the voice is not there. I I don't understand, and not even the personality. Like I don't understand what people are voting on. What is happening? What is happening here? Who is voting? Like, how's this going? Y'all need to rethink this formula or just kill this show because talented people are just being voted off way too early. You telling me in America, a top 10 show is going to feature zero black talent? Mm-mm. Nope. Done. Done, done, done. I can't. I can't deal with it anymore. Can't deal with it anymore, y'all. Like it's just a lot. But with that said, what I want to end on is New Music Friday. So in clubhouse rooms, we used to do some clubhouse rooms. We used to do like a New Music Friday room where we played new music and stuff from artists. Unfortunately, here on the tubes and the social media sites and everything, we can't play music. It's a little copyright issue. So I'm just going to tell you about some artists who are in my New Music Friday because every Friday Spotify does their new music Friday that comes out, and I subscribe to their release radar and also their um New Music Friday radio thing. And a lot of times it's based upon like who's in your playlist kind of already. So, if they got something new that come out, um, is surrounded around like people you like and stuff are into. So I don't have everything, but I'm gonna share some people who come into my list, or at least who have made things on my New Music Friday real quick. They end that maybe you can take a peek at and look and might end up enjoying yourself. So let's kick it off. Go ahead and share my screen real quick. Mr. Darius Rucker, he has a new one with Never Been Over, which actually is on his album that was released in 2023, just this past year, Carolyn's Boy. Solid album. Um, we give it up for the black country artists who have been out here doing it. But he did a duet of this song with Jennifer Nettles, who is the lead singer of Sugarland. And it's a good track. It's very solid here. Never Been Over. Very pretty. Um, give it a listen. That was one I definitely enjoyed. Who else came here? Now I don't know Skylar Black. It seems like she's from Cincinnati, if I remember correctly. When I looked up, she's a rapper. Well, I guess she's a rap slash singer because this song featuring "Wake Up" featuring Chris Brown. She's giving you that kind of Nicki Minaj singing. I guess is supposed to be like if she is a singer. I don't know. It's nothing really spectacular about her voice, but to me, like Chris Groove in this song, he kills it in that, and he kind of makes it for me, and it makes it cute for me. So it's a nice little groovy song there. Wake Up. So I would definitely check out Wake Up if I was you, and see what you think about that. Mickey Guyton, who's also, you said I got country artists in my little list because I do like my country music too. She has a new song, Scary Love. Very pretty. This is a song for mothers, definitely. You don't have to be a mother, but it is, you can see it's you could think about your own mother if you don't have your own child. I know she had a child, I think in like 2021 or something, sort of recently, and I think this song is, I'm not sure, I haven't really looked it up, but it gives me kind of like a reflection of thinking about her mom's like scary love for her, and then she kind of has that scary love and stuff for her child and stuff now, but I could be wrong. But Mickey Guyton's Scary Love, she's actually going on tour this fall too. Mickey Guyton is what, she's that girl, she's like the Beyonce to me of country music, if you were to name one, if you were to do that comparison. So she's going to be out there. Now, Taylor Swift album came out last week, I think it was that long ass album. I listened to a few songs. It's very like you it's going through the tortured poets department, so it's like poetry and stuff she written, and the girl's like being sad and depressed, so she's going through that period, and maybe that's going to be the end of her being sad and depressed because she's supposedly happy now, I would think, with Travis Kelsey and stuff, but I don't know. But anyway, I guess maybe this might be a new release that she's going to make from that album, not sure, but they have Florida, and that's with her and Florence and the Machine. Now I love me some Florence and the Machine now. And Florence, baby, does not disappoint to me. I don't really know what the song is about. I only listened to it once real quickly, and they belting out that Florida. I had to kind of get back to that. But I could listen to Florence. She makes it for me. And they work together. Like Taylor's there, she's serviceable. She does what she needs to do, I guess. But this definitely with Florence for me. Hammer to the Heart, my man Teddy Swims. Now that's a singing soulful white boy right there to me. Teddy Swims, this one is solid. Hammer to the Heart. Check it out if you like Teddy. He's kind of blowing up and doing this thing. I do feel a way like when black artists who have done stuff like this for so long don't get as much love. But I mean, the guy's talented. You can't deny talent to me. And Hammer to the Heart is definitely a talented one. All right, that was on my release radar. On my new music Friday list, let's see. They started off with Normani. I'm curious in this. She has the song featuring Gunna. It didn't really do it for me. Like she sounded, it reminded me kind of like Chloe a little bit when I was hearing her, but it just kind of never went anywhere. So maybe y'all find it different. When it get into springtime, I'm ready to get my groove on, but sometimes I can still hear some of the slow stuff. I'm gonna skip around a little bit, but that's Normani right there, 159 feature Gunna. So you can check that out if you want. I'm curious how her album is gonna be, but I need something better than what that gave me. Maybe a few more listens, it will grow on me. Now, I was not familiar with this artist. Now, some of you might be. Her name is Laufey, I guess, or Laufey, or I didn't look up how to pronounce it. I did see she's half Chinese and half Icelandic. But one thing she's not half on, baby, is talent. Let me tell you, she gives you this Nora Jones type feel. It's in that jazzy, um, smooth music type category. And I was not bored. The song is called Bored. I actually saw she's actually in DC tonight at the Anthem. So, and maybe she's up and coming. Maybe some of y'all already know her. I'm gonna look into her though. After this popping in, I definitely enjoyed this track and enjoyed her sound. So I'm gonna be listening to more of her and see if I get into her. Who else did I like this week? Or did Anita and Sam Smith? Now this was giving me mm, yeah, that little spring summer I need. I.e. yes. This was great. I did like this one. It was giving me that groove. I was ready to get out there and start dancing and do something. And it was good to hear Sam Smith doing something like this. You know, just not being. I don't say he's sad. I won't say he's sad, but it was something more upbeat and stuff going. But I like Anita. She does the thing. And I think there were two more that I just wanted to mention. Okay, Tank has this one, Wanna Love You. Now, it was not what I expected. But baby, when that beat started dropping, I was like, okay, it's it started getting me into it. And then there's a point where the beat kind of switches, it goes a little bit more. It felt like I wanted an extended version of the song. Like it had me in that groove, like I wanted more. I was like, yeah, I want to love you. Come on. Who wanna love me? So that definitely, I feel like this is a good song to go in between like tracks or something when you getting ready on a Friday night, you getting ready on a Saturday, getting ready to go out. Like this is a good song to put on. And I feel like to be within the track list to get yourself ready and in the groove. And the last one, y'all girl JT, she released her song Okay. I think that was on here if I remember. Let me go ahead and see it for, I think it's called Okay. Yeah. Okay. What I'm gonna say about Okay is that it was just okay. Now it did give me that 2000, earlier 2000s, mid 2000s kind of like groove and stuff with the beat and everything, and I'm here for it. But she's kind of a lazy rapper to me. Like the sound, maybe it's a female anthem, and with the lyrics and words there, y'all might appreciate it more. It was just okay. Just so saying, I guess if you say okay, then I'm just gonna make an okay song for an okay title. But we're probably not gonna get no more of my city girls. They probably done, I guess, with their beef and everything going on. But who knows? Well, that's some new music for you to check out. Hope you enjoyed the recap. Definitely subscribe, check us out. Look forward to our podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Podbean, all the things. Be coming to you next week. And we'll be back talking more hot topics and sports and everything for you. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Get lit. Have a great time. Adios, tater tots.